Well, we are here. It is week 17 power rankings. A lot of chaos that happened this week. A lot of teams that are like right on the cusp of clinching, especially in the AFC, but aren't yet. So yeah, let's just get into the chaos that was this week and trying to figure out the top 10 teams after this week, because this week is crazy. But number 10, I've still got the Eagles. The Eagles didn't move up or down. They stayed where I thought. Like, I was impressed with with our performance. Like, that was a very good performance. Not the first half, but in that second half, we really started putting it together, especially with Saquon Barkley. The passing game is looking a little bit better. The offense is just looking better. It is the Commanders, and it was the Raiders 2 weeks ago, but I'm glad that we're at least beating these teams. Because I remember when we collapsed 2 years ago, we were losing to like 3-win teams and like really bad teams. We lost to the Giants in week 18, so it was not a great time. So I'm glad that even though we kind of had a small collapse, we're still able to beat the bad teams. So I am glad we're still able to do that. The offense is looking much better. And I'm keeping the Eagles at 10 because they impressed me. However, there's a lot of teams that impressed me way more. So yeah, they did what they needed to do. They got a win. They got a double-digit win on the road in Washington. So that was fun. That was a great game on Saturday. And despite all the chaos that happened, I still had a really good prediction record, despite all the chaos. But yeah, Eagles, they're number 10. And will we move up or down? We will, I think, for sure move up if the Bills win. If we beat the Bills, I will say, yeah, we probably will move up at that point. Number 9, the Chargers. That's right. It's staying the same. However, there's a lot of weirdness that happens after this, but it remains the same after this. Like, it doesn't. It gets really crazy after. Almost spoiled it there. The Chargers had a great victory against the Cowboys. But again, they did what, in my opinion, what they needed to do. They did what I expected them to do, which was beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys, they're not looking great anymore. The Chargers are starting to look better. And I thought, yeah, they were going to beat the Cowboys. And they did. They beat them by 17, so they did what they needed to do. And because of that, they're not going to move up. But the Chargers, it was a game where they showed that they were still a really good team, and they will be a threat in the playoffs. There's a lot of teams that could win at this point. This year is just chaos. And honestly, I'm here for it. My first year on YouTube making NFL content, and it's a crazy year. Who would have thought? Chargers, great win again. It's against the Cowboys, so I'm glad they're able to beat them. Eagles, I forgot to mention that as well. Eagles clinched the division, which has not happened in years, as that happened in like almost since the turn of the century. So great victory. We clinched the division. But the Chargers, either way, even if we lost the Commanders, Chargers would have ended it because Chargers beat the Cowboys. But still, Chargers, great win for the Chargers. But again, like I said, they did what I expected them to do. So there we go. Here's where the chaos begins at number 8. I got the Texans. They won, but they barely won against the Raiders. So there's teams that were behind them that I put ahead of them. I was a little bit gracious to the Texans last week. I put them at 5. They were looking like one of the scariest teams in the AFC. They still kind of look that way. I mean, they beat the Raiders. They won. But they won by 2 points. And it looked like for a minute that they might lose. They were able to clutch up in the end and win. However, Ashton Jeanty was having a game. Like everyone, the Texans were getting close to losing. Like the Texans were getting very close. I thought they may blow the game. They didn't, fortunately. However, because of that, they dropped. They dropped from 5 to 8. Back down to earth, I guess you can say, for the Texans. They're still a good team, and I think they'll make the playoffs this year. However, they're not as good as we all thought they were going to be. And after that, especially after that Chiefs win, I was personally thinking, and then they followed it up with a massive victory over the Cardinals. I'm thinking personally, they're back. They're going to be like a really, really good team. Like they should dominate against the Raiders. And they didn't. They barely squeaked by. So yeah, Texans, they won. So, good job for the Texans. And yeah, we are moving on to number 7. Number 7, the Bills. I got the Bills. The Bills, they impressed me. Kind of. They did. They did, because they actually weren't ranked last week. I kind of forgot about them. But still, getting a crazy victory over the Patriots. That was crazy. But I kind of forgot about them last week. The Bills, they deserved this. They should have been in the top 10. They're 7. They almost allowed Myles Garrett to break the sack record, which would have been crazy, but not really, because he had like a sack and a half left. So I mean, he could have gotten 2 sacks on Allen, and the Bills still would have dominated. But either way, the Bills, they're 7. They dominated at the beginning, but the Browns caught up and almost won. It was another case where, similar to the Texans, a game the Bills should have dominated, and they didn't. They barely squeaked by, pretty much. Yeah, so they're still looking really good. However, they should have blown out the Browns. Like, let's just be honest. This game should have at least been double digits. Like 30 to 10, 20, like 31 to like 17, or like something like that. Not 23 to 20. Like, this was very, very close. And it was it was getting to the point where it could have been a blowout. Bills were leading 23 to 10 in the third quarter. And then they just stopped playing, it seemed, and the Browns caught up, and they got 10 points. It was 23-20, and all of a sudden, okay, Bills, they could have, another game, they could have lost very easily. Same with the Texans. They could have lost. So, honestly, are the Bills Super Bowl favorites? No, they're not. They're not Super Bowl favorites in the AFC because of how much talent is in the AFC this year. There's just teams that just look better on all sides of the ball, and the Bills are just not there. The Bills rely, I would say, too much on Josh Allen, and that is going to be their downfall. Ultimately, I think it will be. Same thing with the Ravens, but Ravens are not ranked. They don't even have a winning record anymore. So the Bills go up to 7 mainly because I forgot to put them in the power rankings last week. So, good job, Buffalo. You won, but again, kind of barely won in a game that you should have dominated. Number 6, I got the Jaguars. The Jaguars, they move up from 8 to 6. Wow. I'm speechless. Denver, what happened? Yeah, I have no words for this game. This just shocked me. Like, this just completely shocked me. I was not expecting this. Like, maybe if the Jaguars won in, like, a close one-score game where the Broncos make, like, a last-minute mistake and the Jaguars, like, get a pick six at, like, the last minute or something like that. I understand that. I still would have been surprised, but I would have understood it more than this. 34-20. First of all, it is hard to score over 20, even over 20 points on this Broncos defense. Over 30, very few teams have done that this year. Not even the Colts. The Giants, I think, were the only team to do that, to score over 30 points on the Broncos. I think they were, yeah, I think they actually were the only team thus far to score over 30 points on the Broncos. And that's what has helped the Broncos. The Broncos offense doesn't need to necessarily be that good because their defense was holding it down, but they just did not look like they had a defense this entire game. Jaguars were scoring at will, it seemed, and it almost seemed like it might have gone the same way as the Giants-Broncos game when the Giants scored 32 points and then Broncos scored like 33 unanswered and all in the fourth quarter to win. They did not have a game like that today. They just were getting shut down on offense and defense. Bo Nix was throwing interceptions. They just looked bad in this game. Like, they just did not look like, they looked like they were not on the same level as the Jaguars. So, honestly, like, good win. Like, really good win. The Jaguars may be legitimate contenders for the AFC title this year. They might. Right now, I would say it's the Patriots. However, the Jaguars are getting very close. Like, very close. I'm kind of going back and forth in the AFC. Mainly because the AFC is so wide open. There's like 6 teams with like 11 wins. So it's like it is very wide open in the AFC. The NFC, it's a little bit more. Yeah, there's a little bit more of a clear-cut favorite, or at least a couple clear-cut favorites. But like with the AFC, it literally could be anybody. It could be the Bills, could be the Chargers, could be the Jaguars, could be the Patriots, could be the Broncos. I would say right now, it could even be the Texans. I would say the Texans were the favorite a few weeks ago. The Jaguars, they got a good win. They did. They did. They beat the Broncos. They beat the Broncos. However, I think this may be a similar game, and I'll talk about this more in detail, but I think this is a similar game to the Patriots losing to the Bills. But we'll get into that, why I think that, when we go to the Broncos. But anyway, Jaguars, good job. You beat a team that had not lost yet in their stadium, and was on an 11-game win streak. So good job. Good job, Jacksonville. You got a really good win against the Broncos. Number 5, I got the Bears. The Bears, they move up 1. Yep. Yep. I'm surprised they won in this way. I predicted they would win. I did not predict they would win like that. Like, that was crazy. Like, I mean crazy. They're up by 10 with less than 5 minutes to go. How do you lose? There's like 2 minutes left. Right before the 2-minute warning, Bears kick a field goal. It's a 7-point game with 2 minutes left. Then Bears recover an onside kick, which almost never happens. The Bears, they're looking real nice now. They are looking real nice. They still have an opportunity for the 1 seed. I don't think they're gonna get it, but Bears are looking nice at this point. This is really good. For the Bears. Good job. Big overtime win against the Packers. Good job, Chicago. That was a crazy victory, and you pulled it off. Good job. Bears win. Bears are number 5. They move up 1. Now, here we go. Number 4, I got the Broncos. Broncos, they go from 1 to 4. Just bad win. Now, Broncos just, like I said, just did not look good. Like, they just looked bad this whole game. They never looked like they really had it. Like, it was 17-17 in the third quarter. That was the last time Denver had a shot. Jaguars scored another touchdown, and then all of a sudden they get the ball back, and then they score another touchdown. And I'm like, wow, it's 31-17, but hey, it's not over. And then Denver doesn't do anything, and then the Jaguars kick a field goal. It's 34-17. It's the start of the fourth quarter. Like, okay, maybe they got a fourth quarter comeback in them. Maybe they still have a shot. No, they kicked the field goal. That was it. The defense held the team. Like, the defense held the Jaguars and kept them in check in the fourth quarter, but the offense just could not get anything going. And right when it looked like they were kind of getting a little bit, something kind of starting, it was already pretty much too late to score 2 touchdowns, and that was the problem. 34-20. That was just a bad game. However, it's not the end of the world for Denver, and here's why. I think with this game, this is similar to the Patriots-Bills game the Patriots just had last week. Like 2 weeks ago. The Patriots got but got beat. They were up 21-0 at halftime, or like 21-7, something like that, at halftime. The Bills come back and win 35-31. Now, why do I say that this is similar? I mean, the Patriots-Bills game was actually close. I say that because these two teams are similar. Not in how they play, but who they are. These are 2 very young teams who were on crazy winning streaks and had insane records for this season, at this point in the season. The Broncos were 12-2 and had the ability to go 13-2 if they won this game. Patriots, they would have won their division if they had beaten the Bills in their own stadium, and they also would have been 12-2 at that point. And the pressure and everything, it just got to them. I think the Broncos got a little bit of the big head. I do. And this is why I say it's similar. I think the Patriots, and I think this is what happened to the Patriots at halftime too, they just kind of lost focus of the game. The Broncos, now the Patriots, they did that at halftime when they were up 21-0. The Broncos just did that the whole game. They just kind of lost focus of the game because it's the Jaguars. Like, yeah, they're 10-4, but they've played weaker teams thus far, and when they played stronger teams, they didn't play the best, so we'll win this game. And I think that's what happened to Denver. And I think that's why they lost. So ultimately, and then we've seen the Patriots this week. We'll talk about the Patriots a little bit later, beating the Ravens. But I think that's what's going to happen with Denver. Do I think Denver's going to go to the Super Bowl? No, I do not. However, I don't think they're the best team in the AFC at the moment. Maybe next year. However, I still think this will help the team, ultimately. This loss. This will help them kind of come back down to earth and say, okay, we're not as good as we think we are. There's still room for improvement. Even though we are 12-3, we can still improve, and we don't need to overlook games. So that's what I think is going to happen with Denver. But yeah. Now, number 3, the Rams. They drop one spot. Again, another game I predicted right, and yet I'm still shocked that I predicted this game right. I'm shocked not because the Seahawks won, it's the way they won. The Rams were up 30-14 in the fourth quarter. They had Sam Darnold had just thrown his second pick. With like 8.5 minutes left. It's a 16-point game. It should be over. But it's not. A punt return gives Seattle life, and then Seattle's off to the races, and they win. Now for my predictions, I love that. I thought that was awesome. I thought, personally, this was the best game of the year thus far. This is, and this probably won't top, and we'll get into the Seahawks and that crazy 2-point conversion. We'll get into that when I talk about Seattle. We're going to talk about the Rams side of the game. We're not even going to mention the Seahawks anymore. The Rams played a flawless game almost. They did. Yes, they started punting towards the end of the game, and that's what gave Seattle the ability to come back. However, the Rams, they should have locked this game up. This game should have been a win for them. And even if they, and let's just say they did allow a tie somehow and allow overtime, they should have still ended it in overtime. They went down. The offense did their job. They went down and got a touchdown with Puka Nacua. He had a monster game. The Rams, that should have been it. Rams defense should have stopped Seattle probably around midfield, around the 40, and that was it. Maybe a game-sealing interception or something. That's what should have happened, but it didn't. And this is kind of similar to the Buccaneers-Falcons game that happened 2 weeks ago now, with the Buccaneers leading and then the Falcons coming back and winning, getting a last-second field goal. The defense just seemed to have just collapsed. Like, the defense just wasn't there anymore, like it was in those first 3 quarters. After that interception that Sam Darnold threw to Turner, Yeah, to Turner. Like, that was it. Like, after that... Sorry. After that, the Rams just collapsed. Like, offensively and defensively. They just gave up playing. With 8 minutes left, they just gave up playing. They did not play with the same level of intensity as they had already. And because of that, they lost the game. They did. They lost the game. So, yeah. Good job, Rams offense. Rams offense was played flawlessly. The defense, you can say, was their biggest problem. I mean, allowing 38 points with the Seahawks offense. I mean, this Seahawks offense is good. I didn't know they were that good. To put up 38 on the Rams defense, who's supposed to be really good. Now, most of those points came in the fourth quarter, but still, like, good job. Everything was going the Rams' way in the end, at the beginning of the game. And then it seemed they just gave up playing, ultimately. And they allowed the Seahawks to come back and win. So, yeah. Rams, they lose in a crazy overtime thriller. Now we'll talk about number 2 team, which I have, is the Patriots. Not the Seahawks. Well, Seahawks are number 1. The Patriots, similar, you can say, except they're similar to the Seahawks. The Ravens seem to have just given up. Or the Patriots just remembered, hey, we're not going to lose to a 7-7 Ravens team. We're not going to lose back-to-back games especially to a mediocre team who has not looked the best. That's what seemed to have happened with New England. New England decided to wake up and say, hey, we actually can play football. And that's what happened. They woke up and they won. Ultimately, what I thought was going to happen is who was going to win the turnover battle was probably going to win the game. Ravens won the turnover battle. However, there was one last turnover Ravens only committed 2 turnovers, but that second turnover was the most costly turnover ever, because that turnover is what sealed the game. So even though the Patriots had committed 3, the Ravens, that last one was very costly for them. That's what ended the game. That's what gave New England the ability to run the clock down with basically 2 minutes left. Good job. Good job, offense. Good job. Just the whole Patriots team all the way around. They played a great game. And they won. They got it done. Now, there's one play in particular that we got to talk about. The blatant pass interference on Boutte, committed by the Ravens. That ultimately, in hindsight, helped the Patriots more. That no call actually helped the Patriots run the clock down. However, or at least run it down a little bit more than what they would have. It wouldn't have mattered ultimately because of that fumble. But Patriots would have had to hold on the ball the time. Okay, anyway, we're getting off track. That should have been pass interference. That was blatant pass interference. There is no reason why that was not pass interference. Like, there is no reason why that wasn't pass interference. That was pass interference. That was textbook pass interference. He tackled him before he even really had the ball in his hand. He was going for him. He never went for the ball. He made it look like he went for the ball at the end when he swatted it away. He had already brought him to the ground and the ball he didn't even really fully catch the ball. So that was just a blatant pass interference. I don't know how you don't see it. I personally don't. I don't know how the refs can justify not calling that. I don't know how New York can even justify not calling up the refs and saying, why didn't you call this? And that's probably what happened. They probably thought that they had already called it or something. Like, there was some kind of miscommunication. Like, oh, we didn't, we thought they called it or something. Like, that's probably what happened. That's why they didn't call it. That was a pass interference. But Patriots still won anyway. So, ultimately, it doesn't matter. Patriots won. But, yeah, that's a little bit... We had just a crazy week. We did. There were so many wild plays, wild moments. We're going to talk about one in a minute with the Seahawks. Number one, I got the Seahawks. No, let's just talk about that 2-point conversion. First thing we talk about. Great. Like, ultimately, when they explained how the rule worked, great call. Great call. Because that was a slanted pass, or not a slant. That was a backwards throw, a parallel throw, aka that was a backwards throw, which technically would have counted as a fumble. Would have gone down as a fumble if it hit the ground. Bounced off the guy's helmet into the end zone. Seahawks got Charbonnet picks it up, thinking the play's over, and he's just gonna give it to the ref. Everyone thought the play was over. No, wait, actually, this is actually a fumble recovered by Seattle, which would have been a good 2-point conversion. And it worked. And they were right. So, crazy play. There was also another crazy play, but it wasn't in this game. It was in the there was actually 2 crazy plays in this game. Steelers-Lions. I'll talk about that briefly. We'll just call this the crazy, because I already talked about the Rams. Seahawks play great, ultimately. They play great. They deserve it. They deserve the 1 seed in the NFC. They're, I would say, right now, pretty much the clear-cut favorite in the NFC. Maybe the Bears. Maybe my Eagles. Maybe. But I don't know. It depends on how we do against the Bills. That's going to be what determines a lot for me. But, we'll talk about the Lions, even though this has nothing to do with the game. Bad game for the Lions, ultimately, but there was 2 plays I wanted to mention that were just crazy. Like, this was the week of crazy plays that no one saw coming at all. First play, the Gainwell touchdown. First off, I don't even know how he caught that ball. That's number 1. Number 2, how do the Lions not get him down before he's in the end zone? Last minute play before halftime. Steelers down 7. Rodgers airs it out to Kenneth Gainwell, an ex-Eagle. And he somehow comes down with the ball, untouched, and runs into the end zone. Somehow, the Lions' defense just collapses completely and allows Gainwell in to score a touchdown just before halftime to tie it up. But that wasn't nearly as crazy as the final play of the game. Pass interference on St. Brown. Push off. He pushed off with Jalen Ramsey. Apparently, when that happened, the game was over. Apparently. Now, when I saw it on replay, there was like a few seconds left. But when that pass interference, the way, at least that's the way it sounded like the refs were explaining it. When that play happened, apparently the clock hit 0. When the push-off happened and St. Brown got down, the result of the play was not the result of the play was actually a touchdown, because same rules applied to the Seahawks-Rams game, where it was a backwards pass that really was a fumble, and Goff scooped it up and scored. However, all that happened at the end of the game. All that happened after the clock hit 0. Because of that, the game's over. Steelers win. There's no way Lions can like redo that either. Like Lions don't have one last play, and no, like it's game over. That was game anyway because that was 4th and goal. That was for game, but that's just crazy. Like that's crazy. It's crazy. I had the Lions to win this game. I personally thought the Lions could not lose this game, and I thought they wouldn't lose this game. But they did. They did somehow lose this game. They, at one point, were down by 12. With, like, 5 minutes left in the game. And they still almost came back and won. So, I guess good effort, LA, but... no, Detroit. But anyway, that's off topic. The Steelers or Lions aren't even in the top 10. Steelers are close, though. But... ultimately, I picked the Eagles over them. Good job, Pittsburgh. That was just a good. That was a good game by Pittsburgh. But anyway, Seahawks are the one. They're the number one. They're number one pick. No, they're not. They're the number one team ultimately in my power rankings. They're number one. Good job, Seattle. Great win over the Rams in the game of the year. Although, like I said, the Steelers-Lions game had so many crazy plays, it almost felt like the game of the year. But, no, this game was for sure the game of the year, at least at right now. That Packers-Bears game was also very crazy. But anyway, like I said, so many crazy, memorable moments that happened this week. Part of what's going to make this season that's what's going to make this season very great is a lot of these plays that just no one's thought of before, like that 2-point conversion, the final play of the Lions-Steelers game, the Kenneth Gainwell touchdown, even something as simple as that blatant pass interference that wasn't called, or the fumble by the Ravens at the end of the game to seal it for the Patriots and win the conference, win the division. Like, those were all moments that happened this week that were just very, very memorable. Even something like Phillip Rivers coming back to play for the Colts. Like, even as something as similar to that. Or the Bears getting an onside, winning in 5. Down by 10 with like a little over 2 minutes left. Getting a field goal, getting the onside, and winning in overtime. Also insane. So, just a really great week, honestly, of football. Really fun week. But anyway, make sure you guys like and subscribe. I really got off track with this, in the final, like, 10 minutes of the last 10 minutes. I got completely off track there. But, yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Well, we're on the road to 500 subscribers, so hopefully I'll hit 500. I'm at 476 at the time of recording, so yeah, hopefully we can hit 500 soon, and who knows, maybe by the time this video is out, we'll hit 500. But make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.